Are you ready to unlock the power within? To let go of fear, embrace vulnerability, and step into a life of alignment and fulfillment? Welcome. I'm Valina Stavropoulou, and this is a journey of unbecoming. Discovering a version of yourself you never knew existed. What does it mean to unbecome? It's about release, surrender, radical acceptance, and so much more. But what can unbecoming do for you? In each episode, I guide you on a journey to overcome self-doubt, set empowering boundaries, and uncover the untapped potential within you. Through honest storytelling, insightful interviews and reflections drawn from my own experience of living with MS, you will find inspiration to face life's hurdles, embrace your authentic self, and thrive. Are you ready to cultivate deeper self-love, experience more joy, and live a life guided by purpose? It all starts now. Welcome to the journey of unbecoming, everyone. I'm Valina, your host. I'm so glad you're tuning in today. It fills me with joy to share this space with you, really. So, I want to start this episode today by sharing something quite real. This past weekend wasn't easy at all for me. I had a whole weekend planned, a fun weekend planned. It was also Mother's Day here, had family lunch on Sunday. I had a friend's birthday on Saturday. Anyway, full on weekend. But my body decided to go into full protest. And what I mean by that, I had really bad period pain followed by migraine. So it was an overall overwhelming sense of being slowed down. And obviously that wasn't by choice, that was because there was no other way. And from this experience is how this episode was born. From these days that didn't go as planned. This podcast wasn't built from a blueprint. It came from my own journey of unbecoming. What I say here is born from the healing I've had to do myself. And I still do every day in and day out. And yes, of course, there is thought and there is intention behind this episode, but more than that, there is truth. Truth that I had to meet, feel, and move through. And when I share those moments with you, without the filters and without this beautiful, pretty bow, this is where connection happens. Peace doesn't come from avoiding the hard days. It comes from being with ourselves in the middle of them. And I find that presence, real presence, is often the only thing that gets us through. So today I want to invite you here with me, with your body, with the parts of you that might be asking for some extra attention. And let's explore what it really means to feel so you can heal. And by the end of this episode, I will share with you a few daily rituals that I use, and they can help you reconnect with your body when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling off, or just feeling like shut down or absent. You see, there was a time in my life when I lived almost entirely in my head. I didn't really listen to my body, and maybe because also I didn't know how to do this. I was the one that held it all together, the capable one and the strong one. And from the outside, that I looked like that I could handle it all. But believe me when I say this, there were times that inside, I wasn't feeling I was feeling quite numb and far from actually being connected to myself. I don't think I felt safe enough to slow down. I didn't even know what it meant to slow down. And for a while, obviously that worked. I kept going, I kept pushing until obviously it didn't. It wasn't until I was diagnosed with MS in 2018 that everything changed. And by that, I mean that I had to face something that I kept avoiding for years. You cannot think your way into healing. You have to feel your way through. You cannot think your way into healing. You have to feel your way through. And for me, that meant coming home to the body that I've spent years ignoring. a body that was crying for attention through tension, fatigue, burnout, and had been whispering all along, waiting for me to listen. And obviously, maybe you felt it too, a sense that something is off, even when everything looks perfect on the outside. So this episode is an invitation to come back to yourself, not by thinking more or doing more, but by feeling more. Healing may begin with the awareness in the mind, but it becomes real in the body. In the present moment, when we are honest with ourselves, where we allow softness and kindness, when we welcome it. And, life doesn't move in straight lines. And healing is anything but neat. So, have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions? Like, you're functioning, you're keeping up with your life, doing the things that you have to do, but something deep inside feels numb and disconnected, or even like that something is not there, it's not connected. Many of us live from our neck up. We're so used to being in our heads, like analyzing, fixing, planning, staying on, being productive. And even when emotions come to surface, we try to think our way through them rather than feel them. And the body? It becomes something to manage, something to push past, to override. But the body doesn't forget. It holds all those things we didn't have the space or safety to feel at the time. And eventually it speaks. So let me just share a story that brings this to life. A couple of years ago, I had a session with a lovely woman who was experiencing recurring skin flare-ups. Her scalp was constantly itchy, especially the periods that they were quite turbulent. Her skin would break up into rashes. And she's tried everything. She went to doctors, she had treatments, and she did changes in her diet, and all this was working. But something, it was temporary basically. So the issue persisted and kept coming up. So deep down, she knew that it wasn't just about her skin. So when she came to start our session, she expressed that she was truly exhausted about treating the symptoms that kept coming up. And she wanted to understand what her body was really saying to her. What came out through the session we had was deeply revealing. Beneath the surface of her physical pain was this old, stagnant, buried belief: I'm not enough, I'm inadequate. So years of emotional suppression, trying to be perfect, keeping everything in, and not actually expressing herself, doubting herself day after day. And all of it built up like a silent storm, completely unspoken. And where did this storm go? Of course, it showed up in your skin, the body's largest organ, the boundary between us and the world. So when you don't process your emotions, they don't just disappear. They settle somewhere in your body. And the body and its wisdom find a way to speak. I mean, there is actually a great book I often recommend. It's called Feelings Buried Alive by Carol Truman. And it beautifully explores how unprocessed emotions can lodge in our body and speak through physical symptoms. So I highly recommend it. The body speaks through tightness of your chest, through insomnia, through migraines, through itchy skin, rashes, autoimmune diseases, just name it. And it's not trying to punish you. It's actually trying to protect you, to get your attention. The body doesn't live in the past or the future. It only knows the now. And healing only happens in the now. So if you've been living from your neck up, caught into looping thoughts and disconnected from what's your body trying to tell you, I want you to know this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. There is simply a part of you that's ready to be heard. Not by thinking harder or actually doing more, but by learning to feel gently, safely in your own time. And when you stop overriding and start listening, something shifts. This is where healing truly begins. And you can understand certainly your pain in the mind, but you cannot think your way out of a feeling. Healing is not a checklist, it's a lived experience felt and rooted in the body. It asks you to be present, and it actually asks you to show up with courage, with vulnerability. We live in a world that glorifies the intellect, the mind, the logic, the strategy, the control. And we are taught that if we can name it, we can name the pain, we can also fix it. So what do? We search for the story. Why did this happen? What does it mean? How do I stop it from happening again? I've tried it, you've tried it, we all have. But healing doesn't live in the story. It lives beneath it, in your breath, in your heartbeat, in your nervous system. And again, you might know your trauma, you might have done your journaling and analyzed it all and reflected and understood it all. But if your stomach still knots in stress, if your body tenses at certain words you hear, if you freeze or sat down and don't know why this is happening, that's not a failure. This is your body holding what your mind couldn't resolve. And when it's hard enough, it speaks. Again, not to sabotage you, but to signal red flag, white flag, like to signal, please don't bypass me again. And that's why presence matters, not just as an idea, but as a felt experience. It's what tells your nervous system you're safe now. You're held, you can let go. Because without that, the body certainly stays in survival mode, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So if you try to think your way into healing and you still feel stuck, maybe it's time to soften, to feel what's been waiting. And I know this not just as a coach and hypnotherapist, but through my own journey. Living with a mess means that I'm dancing with anxiety and flare-ups that come and go. And when the stress hits, I don't just feel it, I embody it. Tight stomach, migraines, insomnia, and sometimes it's this restlessness, this feeling that I don't know what to do with myself, which I can't explain either. And in the past, I pushed through it, I override, I pretend that everything was fine and I could handle it. But I've learned a different way. I had no choice, not to control what's happening, but to care for myself through it, to soften, to listen, to let my body actually feel safe again. It doesn't mean that I don't still struggle, but I'm no longer at its mercy. And I use the same tools I offer to others, not perfectly, obviously, but consistently, and not to escape, but to stay with myself through it. And yes, sometimes I cry, and I cry until there is nothing left. Not because I'm weak, but because I know that if tears don't come out, they'll find another way. I actually love this quote from Marisa Peer that says, "The feeling that cannot find its expression in tears may cause other organs to weep." And it really stays with me. So if you've ever felt misunderstood or like no one sees your silent battles, know this, you're not alone. But even more importantly, you are the one who truly can begin your own healing. And that is more powerful than you realize. So no matter how much you've carried or how long it's been, your body still holds an incredible capacity to renew. So keep breathing. And if no one has told you lately, you are doing beautifully. Even when it's messy. I mean, especially when it's messy. So now as we soften, and feel what needs to be felt. You start creating space. The shift from feeling to thinking, it can feel unfamiliar and even uncomfortable. It's not about not only letting go of old patterns, it's also about learning to trust the wisdom of your body. And so how do we reconnect with a deeper sense of knowing? How do we listen to our body when it's been silenced for so long? It starts with understanding that the body is not just a vessel. Your body is your guide. And when you start listening and trusting its language, you begin to reconnect with a deeper sense of yourself. So, if healing then isn't just mental, what is it really? It's about remembering all of who you are. It's the science of life, integration of the mind, the body, and the spirit. It's the return to wholeness. You're not just a mind solving problems, you're a body and heart and a spirit. And each has their own wisdom, their own voice, and their own rhythm. The mind holds your thoughts, your beliefs, your inner stories. And it's powerful, but it can also be quite loud. It does crave control, but it can also keep you stuck in old loops. When you quiet your inner critic, and when you shift from judgment to curiosity, you open up and you welcome new perspectives, new beliefs. You find a kinder way to relate to yourself. That's a way that it has its roots to compassion, not pressure. And then your body holds stories, especially the ones that they never got out, they never got to speak. It carries your grief, your tucked away anger, your unseen fear. The messages that the body sends you, they are the tight chest, the ache in your belly. They're not random. They are messages that need to be heard. And when you meet your body with kindness, through rest and movement, nourishment, or even through your breath, you rebuild your trust. And with safety, what does it come? It comes release. Not through force, but through presence. And lastly, it's the spirit. The spirit is the part of you that just knows. Is that quiet but steady power you have within. It's your intuition, your values, your deep sense of purpose, of meaning. It never shouts, but when you listen to it, it speaks with clarity and certainty. And it actually reminds you that we are held, even in uncertainty, even in the middle of the chaos. This voice guides you back to your truth, to trust instead of chasing, to alignment instead of anxiety, to your heart over performance. And this is the compass of unbecoming. And it's always been with you. So when the body, mind, spirit, our soul come together, we don't just feel better, we feel whole. And a very quick example, think of healing as an orchestra. Your mind is the music seat, your body is an instrument, and then your spirit is the quiet conductor. When they align, healing becomes harmony. When they don't, the music feels off. When the mind, body, and spirit move in sync, that's when rhythm emerges. And the remarkable thing here is that neuroscience backs this up. Lasting healing, when the brain feels safe, not just through the thought, but also through the body, through the breath, and through the connection. When you calm your nervous system, when you shift your inner story, and when you reconnect to meaning, your brain rewires and the music changes. This is the kind of deep integrative work I do with my clients, tapping into the subconscious mind where real transformation begins. And that's where also unbecoming truly happens, in the wholeness. So how do we begin this? How we begin to live all this? How do we return not just in the thought, but in the action, to the wisdom of the body and the wholeness of who we are? You definitely don't need to escape life to begin. The only thing you need is a moment and a soft place to land. All it takes, there are small sacred pauses that speak directly to your body and say, I see you, I hear you, I'm here. That's how trust is rebuilt, not all at once, but step by step. So these practices that I want to share with you are very simple and grounded, and they work. I invite you to start with one. You don't need to do it all. Just do whatever feels more doable to you today. And that's actually more than enough. So, everyday rituals. Lie down. Lie down on the floor like a starfish. And look at the ceiling. And just sit there. No judgment, no fixing, nothing. Just sit there for a bit. Sit quietly. If you don't want to lie, sit quietly. With one hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly. And breathe. And listen inward, like just breathe, just sit there. Meditate, invite meditation into your life in a way that feels right to you. When I actually started meditating, I thought that there is a certain way to do it, but there is none actually. You can meditate by gazing the clouds, by gazing the sky, by gazing outside of the window. I'm using Insight Timer, this app, which is fantastic, but you can do whatever you want. You can just sit and look at something, and that's still meditation. I like to think roots that coming out of the soles of my feet, and that makes me very, very grounded. Practice conscious breathing. I love the boxing breathing. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 holds. It works wonders when you have anxiety flare-ups and when you feel unease during the day. You can do it as many times as you like. Super powerful. Take a slow, intentional walk. Get out of the house, connect with the nature, just walk and breathe and go with it. And definitely like move, sway your arms, shake, dance, put some music, like play your favorite song, either because you want to dance your stress out, you're gonna dance yeah, like tension out, or you want to cry. Put some music, it actually does wonders. And then if you want to nurture some like inner connection, introduce wild writing. Take a piece of paper and start writing. You don't need a prompt, you don't need anything. Just start writing all your feelings and everything. And also, you don't need to read it after. You can just put it away and then read it later, or actually chuck it in the bin. Observe your words. I want you to observe your words and go from the I think to I feel, which is the connection from your head to your heart. This is super powerful. I've worked with this a while ago when I was doing, I was receiving coaching session from a dear friend, and it was such a breakthrough in my life when I started doing this. In general, observe my language, the way I speak to myself. And lastly, hug yourself. Hug yourself tightly. Wrap your arms around yourself. Stroke your shoulders and whisper to yourself, I've got you. And this is something my homeopath told me, and I'm very, very grateful about that. Self-love is the antidote, and self-care is the path. So whatever you choose, let it be enough, and let it bring it back to your breath, to your rhythm, to your wholeness. As you return to your body again and again, you reclaim not only your presence, but your power. So let's honor where we are today, right now. There is no race, there is no final destination to reach. It's a slow return, moment by moment, to yourself. I want us to take a breath together, like breathe in and breathe out from your mouth. I want to feel your shoulders to soften. I want to feel your belly relax and notice that you're here and you're doing all this. With this breath, you begin to feel what's true. You are safe, you're enough, and you're whole. Choose again and again to meet yourself with care. Place one hand on your heart, if that feels right, and simply say, I'm here. And this is enough. That's more than enough. Your body is not an obstacle. It's the way through. Trust its whispers and respect its timing. And let your healing move at the pace of kindness. You're definitely not behind. You are right on time, right where you need to be. And true healing doesn't ask you to become someone else. It invites you to come home to who you've been all along. So before I leave you today, I want to give you a nice reflective question. What small ritual can you begin today to reconnect with your body and straight to the present moment? So, if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Come and say hello on my Instagram at Mind Hierarchy, or visit my website mindhierarchy.com to explore the ways I work and how I can support you. And definitely, if you know someone that can benefit from this episode, please share it with them. Since we touched on that meditation part as a grounding ritual today, you'll also find a free meditation, grounded and guided meditation on my website to help you feel centered and focused. And now, thank you. Thank you truly for being here, for listening, for softening. I'm Valina. This is a journey of unbecoming. Until next time we meet, keep listening, keep softening, keep trusting the wisdom of your body, and keep unbecoming. Bye. I'm Valina Stavropoulou, and you have been listening to the journey of unbecoming, discovering a version of yourself you never knew existed. Tune in every first and third Thursday at 9 Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio for a space where you are seen, heard, understood, and deeply supported. Remember, you do not have to find your way back to your heart alone. Each episode invites you to explore what unbecoming means for your mind, body, spirit, and emotions, a transformative process of releasing what no longer serves you. This show is not just about overcoming challenges. It is about celebrating the beauty of letting go and stepping boldly into a life of joy, purpose, and self-confidence. For more information and to connect with me, visit mindhierarchy.com.